here in a second. All right, we're good to go. Hey, everybody, this is Lee Walker with RingsideNews.com. I have with me today Muhammad Hassan, former WWE Superstar. Muhammad, how you doing today?
Good, Lee. How are you?
I'm doing great. So you actually started your career off after leaving college. You went to SUNY Buffalo. You're kind of local as far as where I am, because I'm in Oswego. You left and you went to Ohio Valley Wrestling in 2002, and you actually won. I don't know how much people know about your career. You were actually the OVW Heavyweight Champion, and this was at the time when OVW was working alongside WWE as a territory. So your career took right off as soon as it started, basically. What was it like to win that title within a year of your career?
Well, it wasn't that soon. I started in 2002. I think I won the title in 2004. So I had wrestled for OVW in the house shows and some indies in Kentucky and Tennessee and Ohio for probably about a year before they put the title on me. I was still working at Chili's when I won the title, though, so I wasn't one of the WWE contracted guys. So it was really cool. I won it from Johnny Jeter. I believe I beat Jeter for the title, and he was actually my best friend down there. We were roommates, so I think we had a really good match. I remember we were really excited about that, and I beat him for the title, and then I think I held it for 4 or 5 months before I lost it to him and Nick Dinsmore, who was one of my trainers, at a double pin. They both pinned me, so it was great. It was, I remember after I had won, I went backstage, and I was a little overwhelmed, so I stepped into a little side room just to catch my breath and take a minute, and Mike Bucci, who played Nova and Simon Dean in WWE, I'll never forget, he came back there to congratulate me, and he told me, he said, you earned this. There are plenty of times where you could have packed up and went home when you could have walked away, and you never did. You hung with it. And he told me he was proud of me. And that was a big moment for me, because everybody really, and still do, respected Mike. So it was definitely one of the highlights of my career, winning that title.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't even know about with Nova congratulating you on that. And you speak of Nick. He later portrayed Eugene in the WWE, and you had a little stint with him also. So while you were in OVW, WWE's looking for an Arab American type character, and you were offered the opportunity by Booker Jim Cornette. What was it like to work with Jim Cornette?
Oh, it's great working with Jimmy. He's very intense. He's very passionate about what he does. Very big into the old school wrestling, the psychology of it, what makes sense, but more importantly, what the crowd will buy and what will get them to react and have them enjoy the show. He obviously knows more about wrestling. He's probably forgotten more about wrestling than anybody else even knows. So Jimmy was great to work with, and when you're one of his guys, I mean, he treats you like family. He looks out for you. He tells you how it is. I had a great relationship. Still do. I saw him a couple of years ago, and it was just great to see him and talk again. And, we talked about old times, but some of the more recent stuff we've been doing. So he was awesome. Jimmy was awesome, and he is definitely one of the greatest wrestling minds that I've ever worked with.
That's awesome. I'm a big fan of Cornette also. I'm into the old school wrestling also, which is why I have a thing more for those older school guys with the ring psychology. And I think one of the best when it came to that was definitely like Jake the Snake Roberts and everything. You debuted in 2013, 2004. You had an in-ring segment with Mick Foley. You later went on. You had dark matches with Sergeant Slaughter at Taboo Tuesday. And you also hold victories over some of the greats like Sergeant Slaughter. You had your in-ring debut on Raw. Saw you defeat Jerry Lawler. You also hold wins over guys like Hurricane Shane Helms, Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho. What was it like for you to like automatic, like when you got into the WWE and here you are, you're instantly facing top guys in the company, and not only facing them, but you're also winning the matches. So what was it like for you when you got into WWE just to have that career just skyrocket the way it did?
I don't think Sean and I really, I mean, Sean may have, I don't think I realized how big of a deal it was. Not, you know, I was aware that not every guy who comes up starts to work with the top guys. But it was also new to me. It's very intensive, so a lot of it was just day-to-day survival, trying to, you know, stay on top of our game and trying to still improve. But working with those guys, I mean, there's no better way to learn, because you're working with Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, Shawn Michaels. I mean, you know, Chris Jericho, Shawn Michaels are, you know, still some of the more gifted technical wrestlers, you know, that Chris is still wrestling. I know Sean's coaching now, the WWE territory. But it was amazing working with them, and I learned so much, and it made my life easy. You know, I mean, if I had good matches, I credit those guys with why. Their ability to lead in the ring and to teach me as I was learning.
Yeah, that's great. You know, just things like that. You know, I actually went back and I watched some of your stuff in order to prepare for the interview, and to see that the character itself and how quickly and how fast it built, it was just really cool to see. And you know, I was younger. I think you're only a couple of years older than I am, so like about the same age, and getting, you know, and I didn't even know how old you were at the time. Getting to see that character and just how fast, you know, you came on the scene, it was just incredible. WrestleMania 21, you got to work with Hulk Hogan as he came in to, you know, rescue Eugene after you and Daivari had attacked him. What was it like to, you know, work with Hulk Hogan, and how do you feel now that as of last night he's signed a new contract with WWE and has been reinstated into the Hall of Fame?
I loved working with him. He was great. He was very, very cool, very relaxed, very warm. Like, I still remember, it must have been in Boston, or maybe it was New York. You know, I had met him, and I had been on the Hogan Knows Best because he was kind of making a comeback, you know, for the reality show, and it was against us. And I still remember him coming up behind me and, hey, brother, and picking me up, you know, like, he's a big dude. And he was just awesome working. And then I saw that he got reinstated, and I can't stress enough how that just speaks volumes of Hulk Hogan, of who he is as a wrestler and as an entertainer. That WWE, the ratings are dropping, and I feel like they're looking to Hogan again to kind of spike him. And that says a lot, because he's been doing that for, 30, 40 years now, and he's still a ratings machine. You put him on TV, and people are going to watch. And if he comes out tonight, I guarantee that every 50-year-old in that arena is going to be like a 10-year-old fangirl. Crying and cheering for Hulk Hogan. So it's really cool to see. I know he had some controversy in the past, but, you know, I think he's through and over it, and you know, I'm curious to see what they do with him.
Yeah, you actually got to work a match with him and Michaels. WWE did a whole bunch of various segments where, you know, you would come out and attack Shawn, and Hogan would save him, and you know, all that stuff. And it was originally going to be a handicap match. But at Backlash, it was you and Daivari, and you took on Hogan and Michaels. Again, another instance where you got to, you know, work with Hogan multiple times, and you got to work with HBK, Shawn Michaels. Even though Daivari and yourself had lost the match, what was it like just to be in the, you know, at the same time? Here you've got two different legends from two different eras, basically. I mean, they had come up kind of, you know, Hogan was already well established as Michaels was an up-and-comer, and, you know, and then Hogan was in WCW while Shawn was building himself in WWE. What was it like to work with those two, with you and Daivari, in a tag team match?
Well, we were aware that the angle building was Hogan versus Michaels, and we were fortunate enough to be a piece of that. But it was a great match. You know, packed house. I still remember. think Batista and Triple H were the main event that night, but I know that we did our job on that show as kind of setting up that feud, and it was just like I really can't describe it. It was awesome to be in the ring with both of them. I had worked Shawn a handful of times. I'd worked with Hogan a few times, so they're really easy to work, and we had a lot of fun doing it. But I mean, yeah, they're two legends, different ends of the field coming together for a dream match, and I'm just fortunate and happy that I got to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I myself, I don't know how I'd probably fan out if I was in the ring. I'd have to like hide my smile and everything, being in the ring with those two. You also had a lot of title opportunities from the World Heavyweight title with Batista. You had encounters with the Intercontinental title, but you never. I mean, you won one heavyweight title match with Batista, but you won by disqualification. You had encounters with, at that time, also Stone Cold, Shelton Benjamin, who I believe was the champion at the time. You had encounters also at the same time with Eric Bischoff. At that time, with all those title opportunities, again, still short in your WWE career. What was it like to have all those opportunities and, again, to like work with Stone Cold and, again, top guys, Batista, Eric Bischoff, and all of them, while going for these titles, though never actually winning a title? You've spoken out that you were in line to win the heavyweight title from Batista, which would have actually made you like the youngest champion of all time. Unfortunately, we know storylines change and this and that. What was it like just to have the opportunity to wrestle for those titles?
I mean, I don't know. You never really think of it as a title match unless you're going to win, I guess. Just looked at it as a match and what our job was to go out there and entertain and put on a show. I mean, it's great working with all those guys, and to be in that sort of be in a top spot at such a young age. I think Randy's a little younger than me, though. I need to check the math on that. I always remember Randy being a few days younger, but maybe I'm wrong, Randy Orton. But yeah, I mean, as far as winning the title, I know that was something they were throwing around. I don't know if they had decided on it yet, but that was, one of the plans is to beat Batista, get the Arabs kind of FU to the United States, beating the hometown boy in Washington, D.C. But I did win the Intercontinental title from Shelton Benjamin for about 3 seconds before Stone Cold overturned it. So I don't know if that's in the books or not, but I count it.
I would count it, too, if I were you in that circumstance. I mean, they've done a lot of matches, even with where Rey Mysterio wins the title and loses the title at Money in the Bank in the same night, and I believe they count that. So I don't see why they wouldn't count a win like that. Do you actually, since you brought that up, do you actually have your own Intercontinental title? Since you technically won it for 3 seconds.
No, I don't.
I
don't think they just give it to you.
Yeah. Got to be one of those things you have to pay for yourself or something.
Yeah, maybe. I have no idea.
Yeah. You also got to work with John Cena, whose career, literally, obviously going to be Hall of Fame worthy. He was WWE champion at the time. What was it like to work with, Cena?
It was great working with John. I had known John in OVW. I first started there, John obviously is very dedicated. He's a very hard worker, and he would come in extra nights to the old arena in OVW in Jeffersonville to work out in practice. And so Jeter and I and a few other guys would go and kind of be him and Shelton Benjamin and Matt Morgan, and they'd be their tackling dummies, so to speak. And so I had known John from OVW, and so it was cool. I mean, he was obviously he was already and was on his way to being one of the biggest names in wrestling. So it was great to work with him. I know our match got cut short, so it was a little quicker than I had wanted. We were supposed to be out there, I think, 9 minutes. It got cut to like 4, so it was a condensed version where he basically that seems to be the match everybody remembers at work to all the kids, is that I got my butt kicked by John Cena. It's hard to explain to them that it wasn't scripted that way. We were supposed to have some more time, but when you get cut, you go home. You go right through the finish, and that was the finish. So It was cool working with him. It was great to share the ring with him, and to do promos with him was fun too, because John's, very smart, very gifted, speaker, and I know a lot of that we kind of went back and forth just on our toes. So that was fun too.
Yeah, that he's now seen as almost like he's literally like the Hulk Hogan of WWE now, and really cool that you got to work with him. Another great that you got to work with was the Undertaker, who's still wrestling to this day, even though he debuted in 1991 for the WWF with the Undertaker gimmick. You had some really good angles with him. You did wrestle a match with him and lost. What was it like to work with the Phenom?
It was amazing. I still remember, when he comes out for his entrance at Great American Bash, and I had worked with him prior, but that was full pay-per-view entrance with the smoke and the lights, and I still remember being scared, and I know this guy, and I've worked with him before, and he's great to work too. He's from the same cloth, cut from the same cloth as like a Shawn Michaels, just very calm, very relaxed in the ring, knows what he's doing, knows how to take care of you and lead the match and tell you what to do, but at the same time, he's not as athletic as Shawn, and he's a giant, so they're very different matches when I was used to, because I usually worked with smaller guys, where we could do some more athletic stuff. So it was, him, breaking it down and just attacking a leg and doing some more technical elements in the ring. But as far as everything else, he was great to work with. He's he is who he is for a reason. He's the leader in the locker room for a reason. And so it was fun. It was just awesome. And I'm honored. My first ever appearance in WWE was a dark match in Louisville where I ran out when I was still part of the Revolution in OVW, and he gave me the last ride. And my last ever appearance in the WWE was Great American Bash in Buffalo, where he gave me the last ride to the stage. So, even if it's just getting my butt kicked by him, I'm honored to, again, share the ring with him.
Yeah, again, he's another one of those talents, a Hogan, a Michaels, and, you were fortunate enough to work with all these big names. We know about the whole London bombing situation. I don't think we really need to discuss that whole thing in your release, after you announced your retirement. But you recently came back to pro wrestling. You had done an autograph signing at Heroes Hideout. They're based out of Albany, New York, and you made your debut back with the Dynasty events there, where you actually won the heavyweight championship off of Ben Hammond. He's somewhat local, great performer, but you vacated the title for the fact that you couldn't consistently make shows, and out of respect to the company, vacated it. When can fans expect to see you back in the ring again?
I'm not sure. I'm not booking I'm not booking any in the ring appearances right now. I'm open to doing, in the ring promos, autograph signing. Actually, I was talking to Nick Dinsmore yesterday. Wants me to come out at the end of September to his promotion, Midwest Wrestling, Pro Wrestling Map, out in South Dakota for autograph signing and an in-the-ring promo. But as far as wrestling, it's just difficult with my schedule. I have a regular full-time job, and the travel is difficult with my family as well. I'm open to doing seminars and signings and conventions, and if anybody needs to book me for those or wants to book me for those, they can reach me on my Facebook Messenger, and Mark Capani. But, It's fun to get back in there and wrestle for Dynasty. It's a great group of guys. It was great working Ben Hameen. I just kind of wanted to get in and see if I could do it, and I don't really have any long-term plans for a comeback. But I think it was just a lot of fun, and I'm glad I got to do it, and they were great, to giving me the opportunity. I might make a few more appearances. I might end up back there. I might end up somewhere else just to wrestle a show. It's something that was a big part of my life for a long time, and I've kind of put it on the shelf for the last 13 years. But, if I can get in and have some fun and roll around in front of a crowd, I definitely would. It's just, like I said, it's just a matter of convenience. It's difficult for me to travel and to get away from my job.
Yeah, and I fully understand that. Have you ever played yourself in any of the video games that you were in?
I'm not a big video game guy. I remember Chris Masters and myself, we both used to live in Los Angeles, and there was a couple nights where we just were having fun playing versus each other in the game, but none of us were really good, so we ended up just banging our heads into the cage over and over again.
Have you ever thought about writing like an autobiography, about your time in WWE and just your whole wrestling career itself?
Yeah, I don't know how interesting it would be. You think of the guys that do that, they had much longer careers than mine. I guess it would be a short read, but, there's definitely were a lot of experiences and things that I may have went through that a lot of other wrestlers had, at least in recent times, but I've thought about it, maybe someday.
Yeah, because, I know that you've helped work on graphic novels with what was Shad from Crime Time there.
Yep.
So that drew up the idea to me. I definitely think it would be a good read, especially for how your career was in WWE, because a lot of guys, some guys, like Zack Ryder and stuff like that, it takes them years upon years to even reach a status like you had, and you got to WWE and you just drew instant heat with your gimmick and everything. I think it'd be a good read. I'd buy the book, absolutely. Just throwing some ideas out there for you if you ever think about it or ever want to. How did
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, writing's something I enjoy, so who knows? When I have the time, maybe I'll sit down and see if I can get something started.
Yeah. So, speaking of, we just talked about you with Hogan and WrestleMania. What was it like when you got out of the gorilla position and opened that curtain and you saw the, 70, 80,000 fans in attendance? And, walking down the ramp, what was that like?
No, I don't think it was ever 70 or 80,000. The arenas look a little bigger on TV than they actually are, but there's 20,000 or so. It was surreal. It'd be hard now, 13, 14 years removed from it, to be able to close my eyes and remember exactly what it felt like and looked like, but it was surreal. I know that, and I know I always try to just take a minute to kind of soak it all in before I march down to the ring. But that's definitely would be something that I miss. Everything wrestling related was hard to let go of. It's all the extras outside of the ring that kind of overwhelm you. Wrestling isn't just about the in the ring and the entrances. There's a lot of travel and a lot of other things involved backstage that gets a bit tedious. But performing was definitely something that I love to do.
Was it easy to transition from going from pro wrestling and being in front of all those crowds and having people come up to you for autographs to just going back to an everyday type life, I guess? Was that
I think so for me.
Yeah,
it was a pretty easy transition. It wasn't anything I ever sought out. Not that I was well aware it came with the territory, but yeah, it was a pretty easy transition. It was kind of a slow transition. I was in LA for a while working on different projects, and then I didn't move back to Syracuse until 2009. So it's been almost 10 years now. But at that point, I was into other things, so I didn't really look for any. I never really sought out any of that attention until recently, and I've done a few interviews, and I'll do a few more. And like I said, I'm all for doing some appearances and seminars, and I think maybe now that I'm getting older, and my son's older, it's kind of cool to relive it a bit.
Yeah.
And I think I'm fortunate enough that I had the opportunity to do that. Plus, I'm an old man. I just got to see if I still have it sometimes.
All right, guys, this will conduct an interview with Muhammad Hassan. This is Lee Walker of the Ringside News. If you do any appearances and stuff like that, again, fans can, find you on Facebook. And do you have a Twitter account or anything also, or?
Yep, it's mcapani1.
All right, cool.
And that's my only Twitter, and I only have my Facebook page, which is my name, Mark Capani. I don't run any of the other sites or any of the Facebook pages.
All right, yeah, because there is actually a Facebook of your character out there.
Mm-hmm, there's a couple, and I know the two who do it. They do a great job. It's just I just want people to know that it's not me. If they're trying to reach me for bookings or anything, that's not the place to go. I'm sure they'd pass it along, or maybe they wouldn't, but that's not my page.
All right, that's good to know because I saw one of them and I didn't know if it was actually you who was running it or not, and I added it just because I wasn't sure. So, guys, that'll conduct the interview. You guys can read this and listen to the audio on ringsidenews.com. That'll conduct the interview, guys.